Yes, hello and welcome or welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads. I'm of course Mr. Francy and I'm truly honoured that you have once again chosen to join me today as I go through my September monthly wrap. Two very big things to note before I do go any further. First of all, I am going to be dividing my monthly wrap into two videos. Part 1, this one, part 2, the next one. This is because I read a total of 14 books in the month of September and I'm going to have to rush way too much to get through all 14 in a timely manner if I keep it to just one part. So to give myself more time, I'm going to have it in two parts. Also, because I am splitting this up into two parts, I did plan to do a weekly vlog that covered the final 2 weeks of my reading in September. However, part 2 is basically going to be that same thing that I would have done anyway, so there won't be a vlog that does cover those last 2 weeks in the month of September. I thought I'd muted that, sorry. The last 2 months in September, but that's because there is so much already to discuss in October and I'm only 2 days in. But of course, being that we are now in the month of October, it is time to close out the month of September. In both this part 1 and part 2, I'm going to give you all of the stat details. So we're going to start off with that first up. So this is the statistics for all 14 books. And again, I will be saying the same statistics at the opening of part 2. So for the month of September, I read a total of 14 books, which all of them were cozy mysteries. For those of you who were not aware, I placed a cozy mystery embargo on myself where all I read is cozy mysteries. That has now changed in October, where I'm mixing up my genres again, but all of the books that I did read in the month of September were cozy mysteries. Therefore, I classify them by cozy mystery sub-genre theme. And so, of those 14 books, 6 of them were culinary cozies, 4 of them were animal cozies, 2 of them were male cozies, 1 of them was a B&B retirement home / retirement village cozy, and 1 was a paranormal cozy. To my age groups, because they were all cozy mysteries, they were 14 adult books. To my lengths, and I read 1 3/4 tome, 6 half tomes, and 5 novellas, totaling 3,875 pages. To my star ratings, I was all over the shop. I did not have any 1 star, but let me tell you, I had 4 5 stars, 2 4.5 stars, 4 4 stars, 2 3 stars, and 2 2 stars, as well as 1 DNF. So I was all over the shop. Is it any wonder I wanted to go back to remixing up my genres? Alright, let's get into the premises and mini reviews of the first half of the books that I read in the month of September. Okay, I'm going to start off with what I did not start. There was 1 book that I opted to not read in the month of September, and I don't plan to go back to it, at least not anytime soon. And that was this book, Dying to Build, but Nailed It by Marcy Blessy. This is book number 4 in the Tucson Valley Retirement Community Cozy Mystery series. I listened to the first 3 on audiobook and was meant to physically read this one. By the time I got to it, I'll just be honest, I wasn't in the mood to physically read, so I didn't read the book. If this series does continue to come out on audiobook, then I'll definitely go back to it for sure, because I think on audio it is fantastic, but I just wasn't in the mood to physically read it, so I did not start this book. On the other hand, I did start this book, Murder on a Monday, book number 1 in Marcy Blessy's monthly murder movie club cozy mystery series, and I did DNF this one. The irony being they're both by Marcy Blessy, but anyway, that was not intentional at all, and I do think Marcy Blessy is a great author, if what she writes works for you. Let me explain. There's a lot of humor in this series, so if you like a lot of humor in your cozies, I highly recommend this one. If you do physically read, you will have no qualms picking up this 4th book, because I'm sure you'll love the first 3 and want to keep going. With this one, my big complaint was a massive one for me, but it may not be for you. Unlike this book is written in present tense. So what I mean by that is, let's just say, and I'm making up character names here, but let's just say Emma is the main character, and Emma is talking to Michael. And Emma says to Michael, Michael, we should go out to the mall. Emma says, I agree, Michael says. It does not work for me. It sounds more to me like it's a plan. I feel like I'm imagining Marcy Blessy in a meeting room with executives trying to turn this into a TV show, and she's like, okay, so we should go to the mall is what Emma says, and then I agree is what Michael says, and so because they are going, like, present tense just does not work for me. I think the idea, the theme is wonderful, but I just couldn't get past the tense. So I think after 2 chapters, I did DNF this one. I did not add the pages read of this book to my pages read total. Normally I do, I just didn't this time. And now on to what I did read. So the first book that I did finish in the month of September helped me to get completely up to date in a cozy mystery series that does live right up there for me, and that is because I'm completely up to date now. Book number 21 in the Coffee House Cozy Mystery Series, No Roast for the Weary by Cleo Coyle. The basic setup for the series of this Coffee House Mystery Series is that we follow Claire Cosi, a master roaster, who alongside her ex Mateo and his mother Madame runs the Village Blend in Greenwich Village in New York. Now, in this book, the Village Blend is losing money. Customers have stopped coming in after 9 a.m. This is not good. What can they do to turn things around? During a business meeting, one of Claire's employees is motivated by what the Village Blend used to do back in Madame's day, host a writer's block group, where writers can come in and work together. It all sounds amazing, but when Madame hears the news, she's not pleased. Why? What happened back then and what will happen now? So to my thoughts, I thought the book was good all in all, but one thing that continues to get to me is its length. The hardcover is 368 pages, which roughly would amount to a 400-page mass market paperback. For me, in my opinion, this is way too long for a cozy mystery. Also, to this day, Madame continues to get less and less page time, which I really do not understand, as she is arguably the biggest highlight of the series. So, I don't know, if it were me, I'd want to have my biggest highlight at the forefront. Yeah, just my opinion. The business being in trouble did also lead me to believe that this could be the final book in the series, so I don't know if we're going to get more or not. Time will tell. I hope it's not, but only time will tell. But based on the length, not enough Madame, and a so-so mystery, I docked a star and gave this book 4 stars. The next book that I read was book 10 out of 13 in the A Country Store Cozy Mystery Series by Maddie Day, Batter Off Dead. And yeah, I really wish that I had found this book more entertaining than it was, but I just didn't. So the series premise of this one is that we follow Robbie Jordan, who runs a part country store, part diner, and part B&B in Southlake in Indiana. In this book, Robbie's now husband Abe introduces Robbie to his father and his father's new girlfriend at a 4th of July fireworks presentation. Abe's father is blind, but that doesn't stop his passion for knitting. That night, under the sparks of the fireworks, Abe's father's girlfriend is murdered. But who committed the murder and why? Robbie is on the case to find out. So to my thoughts, honestly, I wish I could say I found this book entertaining, but I just didn't. While I did give the first 5 books in this series 4 stars, it has been a pick and mix situation since then. Books 7 and 9 got 4 stars, but books 6 and 8 only got 3 stars. While there were definite pros in both books 6 and 8, this one had hardly any for me. I do still very firmly believe that Robbie is the most kind main character sleuth I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. I do still very much love the Southlake, Indiana culture and isms. However, once I had met Abe's dad, which was a joy, don't get me wrong, and then his girlfriend was murdered, nothing else really interested me. I am hoping Maddie. I'm hoping Maddie Day can bounce back on entertainment value in book 11, but sadly for the first time for me with this series, I gave this book 2 stars, and I did say in my TBR video for October that if I don't like book number 11, that I will be DNFing the series as a whole, so time will tell. It just really wasn't for me, but I would still recommend picking up the series from the beginning, because I do think at least the first 4 books were really entertaining and really sweet, and if you're someone who's after a cozier side of a cozy mystery, then I think you'll really enjoy it. But this one, I didn't find it entertaining. So 2 stars from me. The next book that I picked up was book number 9 of 16 in the Magical Cats Cozy Mystery series by Sophie Kelly, A Tale of 2 Kitties. Now, the series premise for this one is that in this series we follow Kathleen Paulson, a librarian in Maryville Heights in Minnesota, alongside her adorable felines Owen and Hercules. The 3 always seem to make for amazing amateur sleuths. Now, in this book, Victor Janes, Jaynes, Janes, has returned to town, the long-lost twin brother of current resident Leo. While the pair look quite similar, their personalities couldn't be any more different. However, when Leo winds up dead and details about the Janes family begins to leak, it will be quite the task for Kathleen, Hercules, and the sleuth-tastic Owen to get to the bottom of. So to my thoughts, okay, first off the rating, 5 stars all the way. I love this series for its cozy theme side anyway, and while that definitely remained, I was a little disappointed with the lack of time spent with Hercules, in saying that Herc usually outshines his brother, so on the other hand, it was nice to get an Owen-centric story. But this time for me, it was the mystery that had me intrigued from start to end. Why is Victor back in Maryville Heights? Why is Leo dead? Why do all the accompanying connections what do all the accompanying connections teach us about the treasured history that is the Janes family? Really, I was on the edge of my seat all the way through. Sophie Kelly, I knew, was a master of the cozy theme side, but this book showed me how much of a master she is with the mystery side. Take nothing for granted when you read this book, just hold on for the thrilling ride, and I gave it 5 stars. So the next book that I picked up was book number 7 of 10 in the Salem B&B Cozy Mystery series by Tracy Wilton, called Mrs. Morris and the Wolf Man. Wow, that is really hard to get rid of the glare for, but anyway, there you go. So the series premise of this one is that we follow Charlene Morris, a B&B owner in Salem in Massachusetts. Now, in this book, Charlene has taken her, so to speak, daughter, who she just adopted, quote unquote, Avery to the theatre for a screening of Wolfman. Both Mr. Darren Schultz and his wife Elise are proud of what they've accomplished after reopening the rundown theatre, and Clara, Darren's supplier, is thrilled that everyone will be sampling her and Darren's seasoned salts, samples being offered to all those who came for the show. Things are going well up until Elise starts coughing. Elise seems sweet to Charlene, but then she starts acting arrogant regarding her sister, while also cold to her employees, who feel like they might be getting fired. Not too much later, Elise has a popcorn kernel stuck in her throat. She coughs up blood and dies. But why? How could a piece of popcorn cause this death? Charlene, despite Sam's warnings, and Jack are on the case. So to my thoughts, okay, so let's get the massive con out of the way first. Keeping this as spoiler-free as possible, I don't think the actual mystery held up to fair play standards. Unless you are incredibly sharp at catching certain things, you probably won't work out the mystery before the reveal. This, to me, is a letdown, as I was actively trying to solve the case alongside Charlene. In saying that, I felt like the cozy theme was beautiful. Avery found a boyfriend, and that made me happy. The paranormal side held up in atmosphere, which I appreciate more than actual paranormal activity for the series. There was a lot of drama, and I loved that too, but the mystery itself was so incredibly intriguing from start to end. Again, I say to the end, because the reveal showed me that there was no way for someone like me to fully solve the case. I docked a star for my view of lack of fair play standards, but could only warrant a 1-star deduction for it. I highly recommend this book for the mystery, the drama, and a massive twist, rather than trying to determine what happened. All in all, another great book in the series, and I gave this book 4 stars. So the next book that I picked up was book 10 of 16 in the Magical Cats Cozy Mystery Series by Sophie Kelly, The Cats Came Back. So, in this series, we again follow Kathleen Paulson, a librarian from Maryville Heights in Minnesota, and her two master sleuth cats, Owen and Hercules. Now, in this book, Maryville Heights is hosting a music festival, and the whole place is bustling with musicians and tourists. Kathleen is looking forward to taking in some fabulous performances, and her two cats, Owen and Hercules, are looking forward to taking in some fabulous sardine crackers. But then the trio stumbles across a dead body by the river. So to my thoughts, I really enjoyed the mystery of book 9, but sadly that was not the case with book 10. So I docked a star. I thought the reveal was good, but the investigation just didn't intrigue me. In saying that, I love Owen and Hercules so much that there was no way this book was getting 3 stars. At the end of the day, you win some, you lose some, and this book was a loss on the mystery side, but a gain on the cozy theme side. And I gave this book 4 stars, and I will be reading both books 11 and 12 in October. So the next book that I picked up, just got interrupted by a phone call there, so we'll try that again. The next book that I picked up was this book, Eclair and Present Danger by Laura Bradford. This is book number 1 in the An Emergency Dessert Squad Cozy Mystery Series. This is part of a trilogy buddy read that myself and my dear friend Jessica are doing together on both of our associated Discord servers, coming together to do this. So I'm going to try and say this and not get tongue twisted. My dear friend Jessica has her own booktube channel, Lady Lovestead Reads. Associated with that channel is a Discord server called The Lovestead. As we all know, my channel here is Mr. Francy Reads. My associated Discord server is called The Sparkle Cafe. The Sparkle Cafe and the Lovestead have come together to create Sparklestead Productions, and Sparklestead Productions are doing a buddy read of this series. So this is book number 1, and oh my goodness, how much time do y'all have? I love Laura Bradford so much. If I could just spend all my money putting Laura Bradford up in the most lavish accommodations and saying, all you need to do is just keep writing books for me, I so would do it, because Laura Bradford is quintessentially a cozy mystery author, more quintessentially than I think anyone else I've ever read. Laura Bradford's books, all of the ones I've read so far, are so much more cozy than any other, and so she really takes to heart the meaning of the word cozy when it comes to the genre of cozy mystery, and I really do appreciate that. So in this particular book, the premise is that we follow Winnie Johnson, who runs a dessert company called the Emergency Dessert Squad, which is a company that delivers desserts in cases of emergency in Silver Lake in Ohio. Now, as Winnie makes her final delivery from her brick and mortar store, it's to find Bart Wagner lying on his kitchen floor, smothered by a pillow. Given that most of young Winnie's friends and neighbors are 70 years or older, she wants to be there for them and brings them some of her baked goods. That's when she puts 2 and 2 together. Why not make that the business? Deliveries of her desserts to people who need them most, those experiencing an emergency. Thanks to her former friend and neighbor Gertrude leaving her a vintage ambulance, which was so that you don't have to walk in the rain anymore, Winnie decides it's the perfect vehicle to bring this business idea to light. So, I have many thoughts, so let's get into them. So many thoughts. I'll begin with the one con. I don't care for a mystery being in this book. I need to clarify here. I'm not saying the mystery was bad. I'm more saying the book didn't need a mystery, and it felt like everything else was slightly weighed down by it. I totally get it. The book is a cozy mystery, and therefore, before you all come back to me, back at me in the comments, Mr. Fancy, it's called a cozy mystery for a reason. I know, I get that. I'm just saying, I felt like everything else was weighed down by the mystery, and that this could have been a contemporary. Laura Bradford once again shines as she always seems to do when it comes to creating her cozy worlds. Winnie is such a nice main character who will always go to bat for her elderly friends, even if that means proving to others why it's not charity, but actually incredibly strong bonds that she has with these friends of hers. Lovey the cat provides the perfect balance with all her hissing. Let's just say it wasn't love at first sight between our main character and the cat she inherited from Gertrude. Bridget reminds me so much of Mayor Martha Tinsdale from The Good Witch, which was also perfect. And Mr. Nelson is the perfect comedy relief as he reminds me of the Saucepan Man in The Enchanted Wood with his muffled hearing. For example, if someone says the word nun, as in a nun from the nunnery, he would hear it as the word gun, or the word lane, as in let's go down the lane. He'll hear as the word pain, as in someone's in pain. So it was great comedy relief. Truly, I think I have found a wonderful home with Laura Bradford as she continues to show me naught but the coziest of coziness in the entire Cozified Kingdom. A joy, a treasure, and an absolute pleasure to read. 4.5 stars. And the final book that we are looking at in this part 1 for my September monthly wrap is book number 4 out of 7 in the S.C. Cobb Senior Sleuth Cozy Mystery series Ghosted by Patricia Rockwell. So the series premise for this one is that we follow S.D. Cobb, who alongside her friends Opal, Marjorie, and Faye live in Happy Haven Nursing Home in San Diego in California. And if you've been with me for a while, you know what I'm going to say, but if you haven't, hello and welcome, I'm Mr. Francy. I love elderly characters in my series, and this series is all about elderly characters, but also at the same time answers the question, whatever happened to the Golden Girls once the show was over? Well, 10 years later, in my humble headcanon opinion, they ended up going to a nursing home called Happy Haven and adopted different names because otherwise the personalities of these characters very much remind me of the Golden Girls themselves. So S.C. Cobb reminds me of Blanche, while Marjorie reminds me of Rose, Opal reminds me of Dorothy, and Faye reminds me of Sophia. Now in this particular book, Essie's daughters have dropped by to stop the madness. It's time to clean out their mother's closet and equip her with an answering machine. Essie doesn't see what the bother is, and more so would prefer not to have the additional bother of more technology in her room. But then strange things start happening. She keeps seeing her late husband everywhere. She even hears him on her answering machine. What the heck is going on here? And why is the new resident a great lookalike of Mark Twain? What is he doing each night by going outside via the back? Doesn't he know Happy Haven has rules? But S.C. Cobb is on the case. So to my thoughts, oh my goodness, this book was a fever dream and a half. Essie seeing ghosts and other weird things was really freaky. I'm not used to having these things happen to the sleuth we are following. At one point, Essie feared she was getting Alzheimer's, and this was really tough for her and me, as I've grown to love Essie so much. The fever dream didn't come to an end until the final climax, but let me tell you, it made everything else so totally worth it. A brilliant end to an amazing story. Long live Essie Cobb and her fellow sleuths at Happy Haven, and I gave this book an overwhelming 5 stars. And now for everyone's favourite game that we like to call Up. These are all the books that I read in the first half of September 2025. What books did you read in the first half of September 2025? What was your favourite? What was your least favourite? Let me know in the comments section below. But in the meantime, that is where we are going to leave it. So remember, this is part 1. There will be a part 2 coming out. Most likely it will be coming out tomorrow. So you can look forward to the conclusion of my September monthly wrap then. I hope that you all are having an amazing October so far. But until then, I'm going to let you go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind, please do love one another, and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. Yeah. And until next time, happy reading. Bye, everyone!